I'm R.A. Schwartz alongside Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr show where it's all about the W. The mad dash for playoff seeding is in full effect right now in the WNBA. The Sparks, Fever, and Valkyries are all in a heated battle for the 2 playoff spots. But are the Storm really that secure in the 6th seed? The Aces are an 11-game win streak and are now tied with Atlanta for the 2nd seed. So clearly there's lots to discuss. So Rachel, let's cut right to the basket and get into it. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. That's patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content over at winsidr.com. That's winsidr.com. This season, we expanded our content on a variety of social media platforms. Make sure you're following Winsidr on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. Do you like wearing your WNBA fandom? Well, take a look at the show notes for affiliate links and all the top merch outlets. You get to rock the W while helping Winsidr grow. And if you're checking out our podcast, maybe you want to check out another podcast, The Sideline Sisters, another Winsidr podcast. You can catch that wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back to the show. Excited to be here with you, Rachel. Had a little bit of a week off. The craziness of the WNBA season is in full effect. I mean, what do we even call it right now? Like, we're 7 games, 10 games or so away from the playoffs. We have 2 teams have officially locked in their ticket to the postseason, the Minnesota Lynx and Las Vegas Aces. 3 teams have officially punched their ticket to the offseason. Connecticut Sun, Chicago Sky, and Dallas Wings are all eliminated from playoff contention. So that means there's 10 teams still in it. And hilarious enough, right? I don't know why I find this so funny, Rachel, but in the seeding currently, it's Minnesota at 1. Shout out to the Lynx. Atlanta at number 2, Vegas at number 3. Vegas has already secured a playoff spot in the 3rd seed versus Atlanta in the 2nd seed. I find that hilarious. I'm sure some mathematician could explain that to me.
No, I mean, yeah, I was just literally like refreshing the standings page as we were sitting here starting the show. And I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, that's interesting. I guess you just assume that they would be in 2, but they're not because I guess Atlanta holds the edge, I guess, to be determined. I don't know. I've never been good at those types of things. And you've also got the Atlanta Dream. What do they play? No, they don't play tonight. They're going to play on Wednesday against Las Vegas. So obviously, I know we normally talk about that later on in the show, but Las Vegas at Atlanta Dream on Wednesday, the 27th, probably when this is coming out. That'll be a good one. But okay, I don't know where to start.
I'll tell you where to start.
Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah, 11-game win streak. They're in 3rd place now. So side note, I think it has to, and this is someone's going to in the comments or Storm Crazy is going to hit me up and be like, this is why. But my sneaking suspicion is Atlanta has played 2 less games than Las Vegas. So maybe that has something to do with it. But okay, so Atlanta, 11-game win streak, obviously 10-0 in their last 10. They're obviously, 11-1 in their last 12.
You mean Vegas, not Atlanta?
What did I say? Oh yeah, Vegas. Sorry. Vegas. Really, really found a stride that has been some exciting basketball. Obviously, A'ja Wilson is doing different things, but finding a collective. Let me start with this because I've heard it talked about a lot, and I just find it crazy that people are discussing Becky Hammon for Coach of the Year this year. Like, what are we talking about? I get that Asia's doing crazy things, and Vegas has found a path in the second half of the season, but that's just kind of crazy to me that that's being included. Talk to me. What do you think about Las Vegas Aces?
I mean, without really being able to dissect like specific numbers, I think a large part of it had to do with, that embarrassing loss to the Minnesota Lynx. And I said it before, we'd had these conversations on here earlier on in the season when we were being extremely highly critical of the Las Vegas Aces, as was everyone, because it was justifiably so. This roster had too much talent. Maybe you could say lacked a little bit of depth, but that's always been the case when we've talked about the Las Vegas Aces. And so, it wasn't clicking. The pieces were not it wasn't working. Jewel Lloyd was not performing at the rate she needed to perform, and why she was brought to Las Vegas in the first place. I think between Jewel Lloyd, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, and then the acquisition of Nalissa Smith, I think it's not one specific thing. I think it's a come to Jesus moment, if you will, after that loss. I think you have the greatest player in the world in A'ja Wilson. And remember, we had this conversation earlier on in the season, and we're sitting here thinking, are we hitting the panic button? Are we hitting the panic button? Blow it up. Give A'ja whatever she wants after this season. We had those conversations. It wasn't that long ago. And I remember saying, is it possible? Is it feasible that the Las Vegas Aces hit their stride and go on an absolute tear in the later part of the season? We asked ourselves, hypothetically, that question, and we both said, yes, it is, because of A'ja Wilson and because she is the greatest player in the world. Okay, and so, to me, yes, A'ja is the greatest player in the world. She's the anchor of this team. I don't know the types of conversations that were had in the locker rooms after those types of, humiliating, embarrassing losses. But I'm telling you, I talk about responses all the time. When Las Vegas took that loss to the Minnesota Lynx 100, what was it again? I think it was
111-58.
Yeah, if that doesn't get your attention, if that doesn't, as a competitor, as a coach, as anybody associated with this organization, if that doesn't cause you to have some look in the mirror type moments, whatever that is, and for each person on that team, it was probably very different. But whatever happened after that game clearly rattled and shook this team into alignment with one another. And that's what we love to see out of sports sometimes is, you can have these peaks and valleys throughout the course of a season. But as we said before, and I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, we're so right. But we both knew that because of A'ja Wilson and because there was talent on this team, maybe they could string together a crazy run. I'll be honest, I don't know that I was anticipating an 11-game run after such a shocking loss. But nonetheless, that's why we're here. And this is why we cover the game for just wonderful, mind-blowing moments that the Aces are doing right now. And I think I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but it's a collective unit. You've got some elements of Jewel Lloyd being moved to the bench, and then that kind of rattles her. She starts performing a little bit, but they've proven time and time again, even since then, that they're winning games without Jewel Lloyd putting up 15 to 18. She had 2 the other night, 8 before that. The last 4 games, she's averaging 6.5 points. So it's not that Jewel Lloyd's putting up this production. I think you have Jackie Young, who's been pretty damn good all year long. I think you got Chelsea Gray that has entered another gear in terms of her facilitating and her confidence out there on the floor and the way she's just been kind of that OG Chelsea Gray magician point guard, if you will. I think she's just found a rhythm that we have become accustomed to seeing when she's at her best. But I don't know. I just think more than anything, it's so many things that can be talked about at once. Coach of the year for Becky, I'm sorry. I don't think this is anything that Becky Hammon did or didn't do. She's been trying to get this team to click and has very outwardly voiced the frustrations of this team. And some of the, just the lack of whatever that is for the last couple of years. And so we've questioned, can she get this team to where they want to go? I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm not saying I'm just saying I look at it as an A'ja Wilson and a leadership and a team-led type of look in the mirror and let's flip a switch, and then everything comes together collectively, including Becky Hammon, a part of that. I don't look at Becky Hammon's made some crazy adjustments that have made this possible. That's not the way I see it.
Because also, Rachel, if that was the case, then are we going to punish her for such an abysmal first half of the season?
Correct.
Because to me,
correct.
Right, you're taking 2 steps back to take 2 steps forward. You're in the same spot as before. So that there is no question in my mind, at least. And I was saying this to somebody.
This team wasn't ready to perform even competitively at times this season.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, if we talk about the coach of the year, for me, you're talking Smesko, Natalie, and then maybe we could talk about Cheryl Reeve because she's been doing some amazing things. But still, I think what we've seen from Atlanta and the Valkyries, in my opinion, is a little bit more impressive than what we've seen from Minnesota. But back to Vegas, just to kind of put a bow on this, when you look at their season just as a whole, as a collective, and you start to go through this, you go, okay, early in the season, they lose to New York, fine, that's expected. A loss to Seattle, fine. A loss to Minnesota, fine. A loss to Phoenix. Like, those are the teams that we expect to be top. Back and forth games with Atlanta. But it's the losses, it's multiple losses to Indiana. It's losing to Golden State. It's losing to Washington. It's losing to LA. Those are where the concerns started to mount up. And then we look at this 11-game win streak. They get embarrassed by Minnesota by the largest loss points of defeat in it for a home team ever in the history of the W, which is just absurd. They go on this 11-game win streak, but who do they play in this streak? You take on Golden State and you handle business. Seattle, who has been just mightily struggling, you handle business. Connecticut, you handle business. Okay, now you got New York and Phoenix and Atlanta. And yes, some of those games were pretty close, but you take care of it. Those were the games to me that showed, okay, this is kind of the ship has gotten in the right direction. Now, am I ready to say this is a championship contender? No. I fully, with awareness of any Asia Wilson team, can be a championship contender. But like, I've not seen enough yet. There's still been some slip ups. I still don't have confidence in this team yet. That's just where I'm at. But let's talk about another team real quickly, who is considered a contender, who has been struggling kind of mightily. And I know you watched their game last night, Rachel. Maybe one of the first full Connecticut Sun games you've watched in a while. The New York Liberty are on the struggle bus of recently. They have dropped to the 5th seed at a 23-15 record. They are 7.5 games out of first place and a game and a half behind Vegas and Atlanta, and they are just 5-5 in their last 10. I have so many mixed feelings, and I feel like I've done this rant before. I will try and abbreviate it because I know we're on a time crunch. For me, the reason you have a super team, the reason you have a team with countless WNBA champions, not just from playing with this New York Liberty team, like how many players on this roster have won a championship not with New York, right? Or won an MVP not with New York. The reason you have a roster with so much stars, with so much talent, with so much skill, is so that when a Brianna Stewart goes down, when a Sabrina Ionescu goes down for a little bit, you can weather the storm, similar to how Minnesota weathered the storm when Fee was down. Obviously, it's a little bit different. But so I just have so much pushback when people are like, well, they've been missing this piece and this piece and this piece. You have an MVP. You have a finals MVP. You have one of the best point guards in the league. You have one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. At a certain point, stop with the excuses and start performing. And that was kind of like where I was at for Las Vegas for a while throughout the season. It's like, stop saying, oh, the effort's not there. Just perform. Like, you can tell me all the reasons why it's not happening. At the end of the day, if you want to win a championship, you need to win games. And so I don't know. My fuse is a little bit shorter the later we get into this season when I look at a New York Liberty Las Vegas Aces, because you know what it takes to win. You've won before. And it's just been a struggle for me to watch these teams underperform.
I guess I look at Las Vegas and New York it's like comparing to apples to oranges right now. I think Vegas has had a lot more consistency. And I talk about this all the time. I mean, we have the same show every week, and it's been the same thing every week. I'm like just saying the same thing every week because this is what this season has been like for teams like the Fever, for teams like New York. I mean, it's literally just been like, ooh, they're inconsistent because they got all these people in and out of the roster. I mean, when I look back at this 2025 WNBA season, all I'm going to see is inconsistency because there's so many injuries. And well, that's a part of inconsistency, you know? And again, like as a former coach, as a former player, yeah, you can have a bunch of stars out there who are super talented, but if they don't have mileage under their belts with one another and experiences out there on the court together and, you know, consistency and being able to like like stack consistent days back and forth with one another. Like, I don't care how much talent you have. This isn't an all-star game. You have to play together. There has to be a rhythm and a flow and a natural progression that comes with that in the game of basketball. And that is what the New York Liberty have not been able to achieve yet this year. It is August 26th, the time that we are recording this, and we're still talking about this. Now, okay, last night's game, whew, when I say last night, New York Liberty versus Connecticut, Brianna Stewart comes back into the equation. You got Emma Meeseman out there on the court. She should be feeling pretty good. She's got some mileage under her belt now playing with the Liberty. Sabrina's in there. I still don't think this team's at 100%, but you're starting to get pieces together on the court, playing together, getting their footing. And it's just like, basketball is such a sensitive game from that standpoint of Brianna Stewart's missed however many games. Now she's coming back, and it's going to take a couple to get back into it. Who's going to go down in the meantime? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is, like, Vegas has had more consistency. Yeah, Asia Wilson went down for a little bit earlier on, for a handful of games at the earlier part of the season, but like Vegas just wasn't figuring it out. I guess you could say you added Nalissa Smith and, you benched Jewel Lloyd, and things kind of switched up that way. And that was, some front office and head coaching adjustments that clearly helped this team. But like, when I look at the Liberty, it's just really hard for me to, like I said before, I've said this literally every week, and I'm really getting tired of it. And it's no one's fault. I'm just getting tired of saying it. It's just, I'm excited to see this team at full strength. And again, we maybe saw it earlier on in the season, but like, even then, how could we? Because they added a piece in Emma Meeseman, a former playoff, MVP, or finals MVP. So I think they're building up to that, and again, as a basketball analyst, as a talking head, as a lover of the game, I hope so. But man, it has been a grueling slog of a regular season for the New York Liberty that, yes, has so much talent, but the inconsistency and just it's almost like, let's just like float around and like, I know this isn't what's happening, that this is what I see it. Let's just like go out there and like do the best we can with who we got today and let the chips fall where they may. And then it's going to get to like, the end of August, early September. Okay, now let's turn it on and let's have everybody healthy and let's see what this looks like. Like, we have yet to see the New York Liberty peak this season. Can we? I don't know, because I'm starting to wonder if this is just going to be chalked up to one of those years of just immense what if, one of the most talented teams, but we're plagued with injuries and inconsistencies all year long. Does that eventually just roll over into the playoffs as well? They've got to get healthy. They've got to be able to string together some consistent games together for the first time all season. And let's see what this team is capable of. But obviously now the biggest topic of conversation is just the playoff positioning and seeding. And like, that's obviously, like, to drop down to fifth and to be literally just, 3 games ahead of the Seattle Storm, basically right there with the Phoenix Mercury. I mean, to be determined. How many games do we have left? A handful? 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on the team.
There's so much that we could unpack as you spoke about there.
Let me just finish here. Okay, so New York has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games left, and as of right now, based on what I saw last night, haven't seen injury reports, they've got their superstars back into the equation. Jonquel Jones played, Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, Phoebich is in there, Emma Meeseman. Okay, Natasha Cloud, I don't know her timeline. Let's to be determined on that. But they've got a handful of games left: Washington, Phoenix, Golden State, Seattle, Washington again, Chicago. Is it possible? I'll ask the same question I asked about the Las Vegas Aces. Is it possible that New York hits their stride here at the end of August and early September and goes on a tear, and then we're getting into the playoffs after, September 11th, and we're feeling like, okay, this team's playing their best basketball at the right time? And is that is that like not what everybody on this team would be trying to achieve? Everyone's trying to be playing their best basketball at the right time come playoff time. There's no reason, in my opinion, for anyone on the New York Liberty to panic, to stress, to be whatever. I just think, again, it's a matter of, can this team get healthy and be consistent?
Yeah, and I'll have a little fun here with it. Like, I would say Seattle, New York, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Atlanta, and Minnesota are the 6 teams that if the chips fall perfectly, they're winning a championship. And let me break down, and feel free to interrupt me if you disagree, agree, whatever. With Seattle, it's just like, we've seen enough to they could strike iron hot, but like, we've seen enough. The play calling isn't there. The organization isn't there. The production isn't there. They have the tools. It's just not there. I think we've seen the writing on the wall, but people have maybe been a little bit too scared to just put it as blankly as that. Like, Storm do not look like they have it to win a championship this year. Agree, disagree?
I agree with you. Yeah.
New York Liberty. I would agree with everything you've said. Yes, they have the ability to, but I'm going to hop on that one line that you just said, which was, it seems like this is just going to be one of those years where the chips didn't align. Whether you want to blame the injury, whether you want to say it's coming off of a championship, they didn't have that drive, that focus, that tenacity, that dog, whatever it is. That's just the sense that I'm getting now. And I'm trying to talk like both sides of this. With Phoenix, we've seen since like the midseason moves. Yes, they've had injuries. Kaz barely played, hasn't looked like herself at all. Alyssa Thomas having MVP performance night in and night out. But we haven't seen that same oomph, that same flame, that same consistency or danger, as it were, that we saw from them in the first half of the season. And then with Vegas, right? Like, they're catching fire now. Biggest win streak of the season, 11 games. They're looking great. But on the other hand, have we seen enough that they don't have it right? Maybe they were just playing against some weaker competition, some people who were on the back end of, and they kind of were able to float to the top, almost similar to when someone who shoots 40% from the 3-point line over the career misses a couple of shots, the stats, the averages are going to bring them back up. Is that kind of the situation with Vegas, but they're still not at that level? Atlanta, they could get it hot and streak it all the way through, but we have not seen the late game execution. I forget if it was you and me in a text chain with somebody or what, but like, so in my mind, like, that is kind of bold letters been my concern with Atlanta. The late game execution is my concern. They have the roster, they have the vets, they have the youth, but the late game execution just has not been there. And then Minnesota, my question with Minnesota, and then I'll shut up and let you talk. It's kind of like, is this a Connecticut Sun, Jonquil Jones MVP season, where they were by far the best team throughout the regular season? Come playoff time, they just don't have, like, that's the, you know what I mean? I'm trying to talk about both sides of the coin for all these teams, because those are the 6 teams. I think if you are a basketball mind who follows the W, those are the 6 ones that, like, you could argue yourself into being convinced one of those 6 are going to win it all. So those are kind of the give and take,
which maybe makes this, like, what we're getting ready to walk into, incredibly exciting. I mean, not that it was like in the past, it was like so blatantly obvious, but I think even earlier on in this season, it was like, for a while, it was just Minnesota Lynx, New York Liberty. Well, now, like, there's a lot of question marks around the New York Liberty. How can you not? And now you've got these other franchises that have really shown us some things. The Las Vegas Aces probably being the number one in terms of recency bias in our mind of knowing what this franchise is capable of, and that's what makes them the most intimidating, scary franchise in the WNBA right now, because they are backed by the great A'ja Wilson, who is capable of taking this team to go win an entire championship. I mean, that would be one of the most incredible, legendary, like, single season performances is for A'ja Wilson to go, throw the Las Vegas Aces, this specific team with this specific start on her back, and go win a championship. Mm-hmm. I can see that a lot more than I can see the Atlanta Dream winning it all, or the Phoenix Mercury, for Seattle Storm.
Definitely more than Seattle.
Like, and again, it's just in my mind, it's just because of A'ja Wilson.
Yeah.
But, like, obviously the New York Liberty, I think I went on that tangent. Like, I could see them, hitting their stride and going and doing what they do. But I think that's kind of what makes this really fun, and why, like, this time of year becomes incredibly exciting, because there's no clear dominant force. I do think that there's, in my mind, it's probably more about 4 teams that could go get hot and go win this thing. But I mean, I can't remember a year where we've kind of sat back and been like, okay, like, let's convince ourselves of this one and not this one. But what I will say What a missed opportunity for the Minnesota Lynx if they don't get it done this year. They've been at the top of the standings the entire year. They've been dominant. They've been dominant from a standpoint of they've taken care of business and they've had consistent wins more than other teams. Can you 6 games ahead? They clinched playoffs feels like a month ago. Nafisa Collier's back; she's healthy.
I mean, they have been a professional dominant team. Like the Stars align, they feel like they got cheated last year.
This should
the
be
Stars align. You cannot mess it up. This should be their year. And also, like, that is the claim of why Minnesota, like, for Minnesota to be 6 games above is so impressive in this state, in where we are with the super teams and everything like that. And I think we can leave it at that. We'll be back next time. Have a good one. Lots of great WNBA coming on up.